Man, I still got that buzz, that glow after the most incredible weekend of NFL football ever. It was the greatest weekend of football all time.
Without question, every game was spectacular, capped off by the incredible matchup between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. What more could you ask for from the NFL? Not one thing. Can they do it again this week?
You damn right they can do it this week. And that's the sure shot coming at you now. Greetings, boys and girls. After the greatest weekend in NFL football history, welcome to the Sure Shot. And my friends, it gets no better than this. There's a reason that the NFL rules, and it was from those 4 games and those 8 teams in the divisional round.
We've got a feast of football to share with you. The thing is, it's like a Thanksgiving table. Where do you start? We were just talking off camera about all these incredible games, and we didn't even mention what could be Tom Brady's last game. Tampa Bay didn't even get there yet, so why don't we start there? Tampa Bay, LA Rams.
Epic matchup, the beginning of a new era for Matthew Stafford. I mean, let's be real for a second. If you go into the Lions' den, and it would be safe to say that TB12 still the line when it comes to the divisional playoffs. I think they lost only one time going into that particular round of the playoffs, and it hadn't been for like 10 years. So for Matt Stafford to be given one last shot at beating him and coming through, for all the folks that were hating in Detroit, you know who you are. One of them a good friend of mine, too. Y'all got to eat crow right now, man.
I would say they know who to blame.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Matthew Stafford.
No.
And did you see how pumped Matthew Stafford was when he threw that last, 70-yard bomb that got them within field goal position? He was so fired up because this is the Matthew Stafford that you've always had. He was just in a terrible team and a terrible organization. Give him some players around him, and look what he could do. But I'm going to tell you the most interesting thing, Mark, for me this weekend was the changing of the guard at the quarterback position. Big Ben gone. Aaron Rodgers gone. Tom Brady gone. In comes, Josh Allen, of course, Patrick Mahomes, and then for the Bengals, Joe Burrow.
Well, I tried to tell everybody at the beginning of the season that if his leg holds out, Joe Burrow was going to be a star breakout player. We talked about that round week 1 or 2. Look, you don't win the SEC, you don't win the national championship at LSU unless you got skills. And it's just funny how, in the irony of all football ironies, you got a Bayou Bengal who goes to Cincinnati and has got the Cincinnati Bengals within a game of the Super Bowl. Now, look, I'm not saying that he's ready to become, Joe Montana, Joe Cool, but when you win a game and still have the heart, fortitude, and toughness after 9 freaking sacks, he had to pull himself up off the turf 9 times and then lead a last-second drive. That's special. That's chicken soup good, if you remember the Joe Montana Cotton Bowl game.
Yeah.
That was, to me, the pro football equivalent of the chicken soup game. It was amazing, man. And Joe Burrow did not only come into the elite quarterback room, he came in, he slapped everybody's drinks off the bar. He said, "I'm here, damn it. Who's going to beat me?"
Well, he said he's tired of that underdog label. He said, "We're here and we're here to win." And speaking of Joe Cool, did you see those post-game sunglasses he had on?
He's got swagger. Some people have to put their swagger on. Some people have to wear a fake swagger. That's Joe Burrow. That's why you can transfer from Ohio State, go to LSU, win it all, come back after a torn-up knee, and get to the AFC Championship game. It's an amazing story. And the scary part about Joe Burrow, we've seen Patrick Mahomes. We know his best. We may have seen Josh Allen, and we know his best. Matthew Stafford still coming in the age. We now know what's up. We don't know how good Joe Burrow's going to be yet, and that's scary.
You just talked about the Kansas City, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. What a war. We can't go to the next segment without talking about what could be one of the greatest games in NFL history. Whoever got the ball last was going to win, and that's why we got our little side bet between us. Those overtime rules are going to change.
No, they're not. Look, everybody gets a chance. And, oh, yeah, by the way, when you got the lead with 13 seconds and you can't hold it, shut up already. Just keep your mouth quiet. Your coach had a meltdown. He didn't squib kick.
He didn't squib.
All right, you didn't play any kind of press man coverage or just neutralizing the offense. So enough with the changing of the overtime rules. It is what it is. Your defense has to make a stop. If they can't, you lose. We've seen it. We've argued about it. It hasn't changed. Now everybody, if you want to say that somebody
I got a C-note that it's going to change.
All right, well, if you want to say everybody gets one possession, because they did change it. If Kansas City had kicked a field goal,
right.
Buffalo would have gotten the ball back. Let's not reward somebody for not getting it done.
I think they're going to just make it an extra quarter, maybe 10 minutes, and just play to the end.
Just because you go to overtime, you don't get a juice box, a trophy, and an orange slice. It's this man's game thing. You just got to deal with it now. Overtime is extra time, and we don't need any more extra time to discuss more overtime.
Oh, I would have took extra time in that game. But before we wrap up, could this be Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay? What say you?
I think it is.
You done messed up, Aaron.
I think it is as well. Aaron Rodgers could be going.
Well, could this be Tom Brady's last game, period?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay and Brady's last game, period. We're going to have Corey the expert talk to you more about that next up.
Our Sultan of the Sportsbook is back with us to recap and help us exhale and recover from the greatest weekend of NFL football in history. He is Corey Parson from NBC Sports Edge at the Fantasy Executive on social media. I have no words for what we saw last weekend. Do you have any words to spit out of your mouth?
Spectacular.
I think it was a very interesting weekend. I thought things went. I think you saw what the playoff football is all about, and what that is when you have a weakness, that weakness is glaring in the postseason. But 4 very good games. I would not say Bills and Chiefs was the greatest game of all time. I don't want to be a prisoner to the moment, but definitely very entertaining football. So entertaining, I had to take 24 hours off of betting just to recover from the weekend hangover.
Yeah, you're right. You had 4 games decided by walk-offs, and again, I think you were on it at the beginning of the season. Talk about the success of the road dogs. You know you're a Cowboy fan when you've heard earlier in the season what big Cowboy fan you are say the same thing that was repeated by Tony Romo. The road dog. There is no home field advantage anymore, huh?
Yeah, no, home field advantage is a fallacy, particularly when you get to the NFL playoffs. But when you look at the situation with these road dogs this past weekend, let's just start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, weakness. We knew going into the game that the Bengals line was a liability. They gave up 9 sacks. Mm-hmm. We also knew if anything was going to hold the Titans back, it was going to be Ryan Tannehill, and that was the case, and that was exactly what the case was. When you go to 49ers and the Green Bay Packers, same thing. The 49ers' inability to get big plays in the passing game due to Jimmy Garoppolo, it bit them. And the Packers had 2 Achilles heels all season. They keep teams in the game, and they're horrible at special teams. And both of those came back to bite them, and so on and so forth. You get to Sunday, the Buccaneers secondary has been a problem all season. Cooper Kupp, who almost had 2,000 receiving yards this year, gets 64 yards on the last drive. If you're going to cover anybody, you cover him. Then, of course, in the epic classic between Buffalo and Kansas City, it really just came down to, a little bit of poor coaching on the side of Sean McDermott. Obviously, yep. I think you kick that kick inbounds. You take one less throw away from Mahomes. So I think you take these weekend's 4 games, and if you're interviewing head coaches, you say, what do you do in this situation?
Good point. Great point.
I'm thinking that there was some damaging, images to affect the long-term job stability at the head coaching spot for people like, unfortunately, Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator at Buffalo. Talk about getting exposed, man. They had no answers for Mahomes, particularly in that last 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, that last 2 minutes was something like we never seen. You know, Frazier got to take some of the blame as well. But really, I think there was some time management issues that could have been situated better. I think it's one of time management in NFL playoffs. It's kind of like you say to yourself, okay, if I'm in this position, I would do this. Then you get in that position and you don't do that.
You do something
because
else.
You never know how you would act when you're in that position. Yeah.
Corey, let me ask you this, because we've been going back and forth about this here in the studio. The overtime rules, I think they are going to be changed at the owners' meeting this summer. What do you think about the overtime rules, particularly as it pertains to the game against Kansas City against Buffalo, where whoever had the ball last was going to win?
I think it's more or less a talking point. I think we have a situation where not only do you know the rules coming into the game, you knew the rules coming into the season. You knew the rules coming into last season. You lose that coin toss against Patty Mahomes, it's a good chance if your defense can't stop them that you're going to be sent home. I think that was the case. Listen, if you change it, what do? Do you go to like college? Now we're in our 7th overtime and the score is 78-78. I mean, who wants to see that? I think that's a little bit of a mockery.
They did change that rule.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit of a mockery. So I'm kind of satisfied with the NFL rule the way it is right now.
Heading into the NFC Championship rounds, who you got?
This is going to be interesting right here. When you look at the weaknesses that come up, I think you look at a San Francisco 49er team that is that could struggle to score at times, and I don't think the Rams are going to have that problem. Don't get me wrong. The 49ers have owned the Rams in recent years, but I just look at this Rams team and the way it's been put together, adding Matt Stafford, getting Von Miller, getting Odell. I got a ticket on them to win the Super Bowl from back in September. Ooh. I'm going to stick with the Los Angeles Rams, so I think they are going on to the Super Bowl.
All right, let's talk about what's going down in the AFC. You've got Joe Cool and Joe Burrow facing Patrick Mahomes, who, when it comes to this moment at this stage in his career, is the proverbial OG. This game's bigger than that. If, say, Burrow goes down either 5 times. Well, let me ask you this. How's this for a prop bet? 5 or more in terms of sacks. Joe Burrow versus the Chiefs D.
I'll go over on that number right there. See, one thing about a bad offensive line, it doesn't get better the next week. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be bad again. The only way it would have got better if this game was going to be played in Cincinnati. Now you got to take a bad O-line on the road yet again. Burrow does a good job of kind of that's why the Bengals score so quickly, because they can't sustain long drives. So they got to get on. They got to get on and off the field because the offensive line can't hold up. Then that's going to be an issue again this week. I think Joe Burrow is a fantastic young quarterback. Glad to see him in this spot so early in his career, but I think he goes down. And listen, like you said, Patrick Mahomes at 20-something years old is really the OG in the NFL right now. 4th straight AFC Championship game. So Chiefs and Rams for all the marbles. I like the sounds of it. The total on that game would probably be 58.5.
Right. I would assume so. And it'll be interesting to see if a team can win in their home stadium for the 2nd year in a row. Although this time it'll be more than just family and close personal friends.
Kansas City was the only one to win last week at home.
Yeah, go
That's
figure.
It.
So it's amazing. I can't wait for it to play out, and then I can't wait for it to stop. Hey, how's this for either one of you guys? Can this weekend be as good as last weekend?
Corey, you want to go first?
I think that's going to be tough to do. You don't have no football on Saturday, so that's going to be hard.
That's it.
That's going to be hard to get used to. You do got 2 marquee matchups on Sunday, but listen, I think these are 2 games that we just saw a couple of weeks ago. So, I don't know if we're going to have the same kind of theater that we had last week. But here's the thing. The demise of the NFL was greatly over-exaggerated.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to piggyback on what you said, Corey. Without that Saturday football, it's going to be tough to match, but we got 2 great games coming up, no doubt.
NFL football, y'all remember the NBA back in the day? It's fantastic. Not that I'm saying that the NBA is fantastic. The NFL is. The NBA, you got some splaining to do. But we'll talk about that down the line. He is the Sultan of the Sportsbook, Corey Parson. Thank you for your knowledge for entertainment purposes only. And remember, if you got a gambling problem, it's 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you, CP. We'll talk next week. All right, it's the championship round of the Sure Shot and time to cash in for the last multiple game week of the season. So let's go right to it. We will start, since A comes before N, with the AFC. Is it the Bengals' time or is it the Chiefs' time to continue their reign?
I'm going to tell you, the only team that could have beaten the Chiefs was beaten last week in the AFC, and that was the Buffalo Bills. So now we got the Chiefs laying 6. The only thing that concerns me is that number. The Chiefs laying 6 at home against Cincinnati. Boy, after last week, I don't want to give up more than 3 points to anybody. But, the Chiefs are so explosive. This is the 4th AFC championship in a row for Patrick Mahomes. First for Joe Burrow. I'm going to take Kansas City, and I'm going to lay those 6 points, and I'm going to pray that line doesn't grow any higher.
Well, now, you have to be mindful of the fact that we do record early in the week.
Yeah.
So make sure that you keep it locked right here or to my TikTok at The Sports Groove, and we'll update it as we get closer. That being said, I do like Kansas City to win the game. 6.5, even as the opening line, is a bit rich. You're talking about a touchdown game. However, Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times. Mm-hmm. I take that and I couple that with the explosive nature of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. I would expect the Chiefs to win at home and cover.
Yep.
I know that flies in the face of the way that Joe Burrow is playing, but I just don't see how you mitigate 9 sacks in a game like this, and a defense that's better than advertised, who just survived one of the epic performances ever. I got to roll with the Chiefs, especially since they're a team that has been there before. They've done that. They'll do it again.
4 times. All right.
And cover.
Heading to the NFC now, we've got San Francisco, the Miracle 49ers, heading to L.A. to take on the Rams, who just want to stay home one more week to go to that Super Bowl, or 2 more weeks, I should say. Now, that's a 4-point spread as of right now. L.A. Rams -4. Again, I don't want to go over 3 points. But, I think the Rams are explosive enough and so stacked and talented on defense. I don't know how San Francisco even made it here. Oh, I guess I do know. Special teams gassed by the Green Bay Packers in what should have been Aaron Rodgers' year, in my opinion. I think the Rams are going to win by a touchdown or more. Going against my better nature, I'm going to take those Rams, and I'm going to lay those 4 points.
San Francisco has beaten the Rams 5 straight times.
Won't be 6.
That's 2 consecutive years. It's almost as like, to coin the expression of the former Chicago White Sox manager, they've become the Rams slump buster. Let's be clear for a second, all right?
Not this week, but go ahead.
You know, so when I look at that and I see a 4-point spread, the Rams on top, and I look for it to increase, I have to go with San Francisco on that line.
Wow.
I like the Rams to win the game, but I think that game's going to be a lot closer than people than people believe. I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think they're going to induce Stafford into a mistake or 2, but in the end, with the weapons that the Rams have on defense, and I think Matt Stafford has one more big play in him in this moment than Jimmy, mistake-prone G has. I'm going to take the Rams to win, but the 49ers will cover that spread.
So you got the Rams on the money line, but you got the 49ers
to win
with the spread. Well, we got one more bet for you. Let's make this a sure shot.
Straight cash, homie.
Since we only have 2 games, we got a prop bet. So speaking of Jimmy G, prop bet is 232.5 yards passing for Jimmy G. There's an over, there's an under. What say you?
I'm saying under. I'll take Stafford in the one-on-one matchup. I think the game will be won if San Francisco is going to win by Deebo Samuel and their running game.
Yep.
So they're going to have to neutralize the ball. I think Kyle Shanahan is smart enough to know he's going to win on the ground instead of in the air, thus mitigating the propensity for Jimmy G's passing yardage, and most importantly, they're going to mitigate the prospects for him giving up the football via the interception.
I'm going to take the under for 2 reasons. Aaron Donald and Von Miller. They will get to the quarterback.
It's that simple.
There it is. AD and Von Miller are going to shut that thing down. So there's your sure shot. Look for that prop bet wherever you make your local wagers.
And remember, the entertainment value of this program is strictly for your pleasure and enjoyment. So if you've got a gambling problem, stick to the script. Only bet as much as you can afford. And if you can't police yourself, make a phone call. 1-800-GAMBLER. Help them help you stay in line so you can stay online and enjoy the games of chance without the stress of not being able to pay your mortgage or to happen to the college fund or anything like that.
So we are going to see you guys next week. Hopefully this is going to be another great day of football just like last week. Can't wait to get back at you. Tune into the Sure Shot and be sure to like and subscribe below so that you guys can stay up on everything Sure Shot.
And tell about 250,000 of your close personal friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. I'm Mark. That's Chad. We out.
See ya.